Hi, John.
Hi.
Next up, we have a Florida Forest Service update from John Sadler. John Sadler is the prescribed fire manager of the Florida Forest Service, a position he has held since 2005. His primary responsibilities include administering the Certified Prescribed Burn Manager program and promoting the benefits of prescribed fire as a management tool. He also serves on the steering committee for the North Florida Prescribed Fire Council and the National Interagency Prescribed Fire Training Center. John began his career doing forest inventory in Maine and Alaska. He moved to Florida in 1997 as a state lands forester. He has a degree in forestry resources management from Southern Illinois University. Welcome.
Those are Lukey's.
Thank you, John.
All righty, thank you. All right. Hey, everybody. All right, so I'm last up. So if I talk fast, finish strong. Yeah. Gonna finish quick. I gotta drive back to Tallahassee tonight. So yeah, I might do that. And maybe a pizza. Right? Okay. All right, so so good afternoon. We got some throat issues. That's why I got the water. So bear with me if I choke up on everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and go for the regular FFS update. Very similar to what I do at all these meetings, but we'll get you guys up to date and out the door. How about that? All right. So just kind of go over the regular stuff, talk about our burning for the past year, upcoming training, and talk about our prescribed fire enhancement program that we've been doing over the years. I'll touch briefly on the Why Prescribed Fire campaign that Ludi had mentioned. And then I'll talk about a new tool that we have for folks to use called a Prescribed Burn Planner. And then just a regular prescribed burn review. So just do our regular review. So this is by fiscal year. So this is June to July. So 2022 that's July 21 to June 22. And so we were at 2.1 million acres, which is just below our little average line there. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember now what we had, if it was a dry or wet spring. What's that?
Brought that down.
Appreciate that, guys. Yeah. Can you work on that? Okay. So it sounds like it's not going to be a wet winter, right? According to John. So can't use that as an excuse. Might be a little too dry. We'll see how that goes. I know we're really still dry in the panhandle. I'm not sure how much rain we got in this last round, but overall, with all the stuff going on with the COVID and hurricanes and, so I think we're still doing pretty good. We're getting more people. To me, the big thing is we're still out that 2 million plus per year, and we get an extra 500,000 people almost every year come to Florida, right? We get 300,000 or 400,000 new residents. So I think we're doing pretty good as a community, keeping our burn numbers up. So this is, we started back up finally with our in-person certified burner training. I need to scratch out the last 3 on that. I think either the deadline has passed and or they're all full now. We had, I was earlier this week, I was in Weyrauch all week for the class that we had there. There was also a class in Bradenton this week, and last week we had a class in Jacksonville. So we started those back up. Something else we've done this year is we reintroduced the burning days to the class. So those of us that have been around for a while, I think 10 years ago, maybe we stopped doing the burning days as part of the class. And we have reintroduced that with mixed success. I think Jacksonville last week had a pretty good thing. Our class in Weyrauch this week, we burned, but we burned on the day that we weren't supposed to burn because it rained yesterday. So we totally jumbled the whole class and got everything out of order. And I don't know, hopefully, all the students passed, so hopefully they did okay. But so like I said, it's too late to get anybody in this year. Of course, this meeting was supposed to have been a couple of months ago when there was still time to sign up. But so we're back in person with that. The new schedule will probably come out this summer. So if you got some folks that need to get in that, be looking out for that. Prescribed fire enhancement program. We came back strong this year with that. We had a couple of lean years there with COVID. But this year we got almost as much money this year as I have in the previous 6 years combined. So I was allotted about $5 million this year to hand out. And basically everybody that applied got funded. So, and it went to all state agencies and water management districts. So, Florida Park Service really got a lot this year. They're doing a lot of projects across the state. They got around $300,000, I think, to do mostly fuel mitigation, so mowing, mulching, things like that. I'm buying slip-on units, pyro shots, red dragons, all kind of stuff with that. And then our forests are also getting some funds on that. And if you're waiting on a contract, they're going through the process. It's slow this year. So. And then the Why Prescribed Fire campaign, I've talked about this in the previous, we're going on year number 4 now, starting in January. If you're not familiar, this is something that we started 3 years ago with Tall Timbers. And it's, our most recent messaging campaign for prescribed fire. And this particular one, year 4 was a question mark, because when I made this presentation, I didn't know, but we're for sure going to have a campaign this year, starting in January. And it's going to be, I can't remember the term now. It's television, but it's like online television. So it's going to be on Hulu, YouTube TV. Yeah, streaming services. There might be some broadcasts, but so it's kind of evolved over the years. The very first year that we did it, it was all social media. So, as Ludi was talking about, there were little pictures and frequently asked questions and things you could get in media. You could post little graphics, like we burn to protect our firefighters, or we burn to protect homes, things like that. Little things that you could post on your social media to share with folks. And kind of the idea behind it was, the tagline in there is we burn to protect. And so the idea was that people, we called them, what do we call them? Like local, they're environmentally concerned citizens, right? So they would get on their social media and they would help us. They would promote prescribed burning. So somebody would go on there and like, man, why is it so smoky? And like, oh, well, it's because they're out here, providing habitat for gopher tortoise, things like that. And so we had this thing. It was all ads on like YouTube. I was getting them on my iFunny app, and people were putting stuff on Facebook, and then we were like responding, and I didn't like that, because when somebody says something and you got to respond, and you got to be careful, because you don't really want to tell them what you want to tell them, right? And I don't have I got Facebook, but I don't do Facebook. I wish people happy birthday and stuff. But so we'd get on there and somebody would say, we're killing all the animals. And we had these some canned responses that we would put out. But then other people would get on there that were just other people that would be defending us. So it was kind of neat, some of the back and forth. And so we got away from that, because it was kind of too cumbersome and we're kind of really opening ourselves up. We don't really want to get on a discussion online with people, because you're probably not going to win. So we kind of got away from that. And then, the second year we went to, it was online, but it wasn't interactive. We didn't do Facebook posts. And then last year we did all just TV and radio ads, but it was only for certain zip codes. And it's all been for certain zip codes. It's very concentrated. And now this year is the same thing. So starting in January, if you're in certain zip codes, you'll probably see some stuff coming across on YouTube, or if you got Hulu, or stuff like that. So we're trying to, continue with it. It's been a pretty popular, I guess. We get a lot of hits with it to the website. Of course, we got more hits when we were doing the online stuff, because people could click directly on it more so than we did when we were just doing the traditional radio and TV ads. But so hopefully we'll still get some good use out of that. All right, so this is the new tool. It's called the Prescribed Burn Planner. This is something that we developed in conjunction with everybody there on the screen. It started out, the idea behind it was somebody thought, hey, what if you had say you had a burn block that had a very specific set of weather parameters that you don't get very often, right? So you had very rare, say in your area, you needed a good east wind and you don't get a lot of good east winds. So what you could do is you could put that in some system and then it would notify you when that forecast is coming up, right? So that's what this does. So this does a couple of things. You can kind of track your burns a little bit. You can put them in the system, and then you can put in weather parameters, and it looks out 7 days, and it says, "Oh, we got an east wind coming in 7 days," and it'll send you an email saying, "Hey, you got, potentially good weather for your burn unit." So, and it's hosted by the Southern Group of State Foresters currently, but that may change here in the not too distant future. But so this is kind of what it looks like. So you go in and you sign up, and the sign up process it's kind of clunky too. It's not an automatic thing. You don't just sign up and start using it. You got to sign up, and then somebody's got to go in and check and see if somebody's requested an account. And then they got to manually go in and activate that account, and then you don't automatically get an email. That person's got to send you an email manually. So, and I'm the person that has to do that for Florida. So I do it like once a week. I'll go in and check and see if somebody's asked for an account. So, but once you get your account set up, you can start putting in your burn plots. And there's, as you can see there, there's those three buttons. That bottom button says tutorial videos. So you click on that. There's some videos on there that help you work through the process. It's pretty straightforward, really. It's not super complicated. So what you would do, so this is kind of, I got an account I created here for this. I've got two burn units. So yeah, I do have a mouse. All right. So what you can do, so you name your burn units, and then if you want to have daily emails, you can turn it on here. There's a little button here to turn that on. And if you've got a bunch, you can sort them and you can search. And it's got a couple little basic information: the locality miner in Leon County, normal priority. It's got the acres there, and then you can also do like last burn date, so you can sort of kind of track your burning a little bit. And then burn status is active or inactive. So if you got a long list of burn units, you can make them active or not. So that way, if you don't want to get emails on a unit that you're not planning on burning, it won't fill your email with that. And so these colored boxes here, there's 7 of those. That's 7 days out. And so what that's doing, and I'll explain it here in a little bit in more detail. But so basically, if it's red, then that's not conducive to burning for that block that day, but green is. So just a glance on this, the second block here, I'm not sure if that's today or tomorrow, but so, that's a good, potentially a good day to burn. The red is potentially not a good day to burn based on the parameters you put in for that burn block and the forecast for that day. And so let's see. So you have your burn map here. And so there's my 2 burn units. They're on Plank Road State Forest in Leon County. And right now we just have them, it's just a point. There's no way to put in a polygon. You just put in a point. And then when you create your burn unit, so you would go down here and you hit draw burn unit, and it pulls up this thing. This page here is this where you put in the burn unit name, which burn window you prefer, growing, dormant, or year round. You put in the acres, state. This is throughout the Southeast. Like I said, it's Southern Group of State Foresters are hosting it. So anybody in the Southeast is able to use it. And then you choose it active or inactive, and then your priority. So you save that, and then you would go in and you would, you see this page here. So this is kind of the detail page for that burn unit. And so it's not showing the weather down here, so I'm not sure why. But these are just screenshots. It's not live. I can maybe pull it up later if we got time, but I still do have to drive to Tallahassee. But so what you do, I got my daily email off because it does give you a daily email. And so it would show you the stuff here, and it shows you here on the map, and you can change the to a topo map or an aerial photo so you can pinpoint your location. And then what you would do then is for each burn unit, you would go in on this page and you would set your parameters for your weather conditions, right? So you've got, you've got all these parameters. Really, the only one that's required is the wind direction. That's kind of the big one, right? So, but you can put in temperature, range, min max, temperature, RH, your wind speed. So this is the 20-foot winds. The range for that, and then your wind direction. So what we got here is just a kind of a compass rose, and you just check the directions that would fit that burn block. Okay, so I say, I can burn on any wind except for south or southeast from this particular burn block because of the highway there. If you want to put in gust information, you can do that. You can also put in precip information, and then you have your transport winds down here, and the same thing for the transport wind direction. It's the compass rose. You can also do dispersion and mixing height. So you put in those parameters for each burn block, and then when the forecast comes out, you would see this grid here for that burn unit. So if the parameter is within the forecast, it shows up as green, and if it's not, it's not color coded. So if you've got, I think it's over 60% of the parameters are within the range that it shows up as green on the map, and you'll get an email saying that conditions are favorable for that burn block. Now, of course, this isn't what you would use for your, this is to go and look at the actual forecast and make sure it actually fits. But this just lets you know that, hey, there's a pretty good chance that your parameter is going to be met on this day. And, some are more, like if you look down here at the bottom, there's a lot of NA, so you're not going to get dispersion mixing height out, more than 3 days. They don't forecast it out that far, but things like temperature and wind direction, they do. So, for those type of parameters, it goes out farther than it does for some. And so you put that in, and like I said, you can make that burn unit active, and you'll get an email every day. It'll say, so this is what the email looks like. It says, I don't know if you can read it, but it says the preferred weather conditions have been met for one burn unit you are currently subscribed to within the next 7 days. See below for more details and direct links to the prescribed burn planner. And so you would get that. And if the one on the right, I've got conditions that have been met for 3 burn units. So, depending on how many burn units, it meets for that day, you'll get that email. And something else you can do with it is you can sign somebody else up. Like if you want to have somebody else get daily emails, like maybe you have a burn unit that's like an adjacent landowner, and you guys may burn, you've got it worked out where you're going to burn on the same day, so you don't have to put in the fire line. For that burn unit, you can add them to the list, and they do, it asks them, they'll send them an email, say, hey, John Sadler's asking if you want to receive emails about this burn unit, and they have to accept that. And then if they get tired of the emails, they can try and opt out too. But so you can do that as well. So it's a pretty interesting tool. It's not, if you're an active burner and it's burn season, I know you're looking at the weather all the time, and it's not necessarily for you, but if you're a private landowner, or, like I said, you've got one particular burn unit that you don't necessarily think about, but it's got some weird stuff, you can put that in there and you'll get an alert when the weather's good for that. And also it's kind of good if you're not an agency person, you're just a private landowner, you got a few burn blocks you want to track. It's kind of a way to track that. You got kind of a GIS sort of to track that. But that's out there, it's available. Like I said, it's prescribed burn planner. You can just Google prescribed burn planner, and it's on the Southern Group site, and you can sign up for it, and I'll get you going. Like I said, the sign up's kind of weird, because when you request an account, you automatically get an email with a temporary password, but you can't use it yet. So you got to wait for me to activate it before you can use it. And also something to remember is sometimes that initial email that you get sent back shows up in your junk email. It gets kicked over a lot to that. So if you want to try it out, go ahead and submit your stuff in. I generally try to email people when I activate their account to let them know that they can access it. If you put in the request to do it, you have a month from when you put it in before it goes stale. So if you put it in and you don't hear from me in a week or so, just shoot me an email reminding me that, hey, I put in the request. Please go activate it for me. So. And just regular burner review stuff. So it's coming up pretty quick, right? I've never been to a council meeting this far into the year. So in about 3 weeks, I'll be mailing out letters. It depends on if we get our new envelopes with the new commissioner's name on them in time. I think the inauguration's on the January 3rd or 7th. I can't remember, but so it's pretty early in the year, so I got to wait for the new letterhead and the new envelopes to come out. But I'll be sending those out, color coded as usual. Green, yellow, and white. So to help me out, help you out, keep your contact information up to date. If you've moved recently, please change that. Also put an email in there. I'll try emailing again this year. I'm not sure how well that worked last year, but I'll try sending out emails to people that I have an email address for. And also that bottom one there, let the duty officer know that you want it to be a certified burn. Sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't. Just make sure they check the box, because every year I send out letters to people that says their certification expired, and they're like, well, I did a burn last year, and I pull it up and it's like, well, yeah, you did one, but it's not marked as certified. So make sure that gets marked. Also there at the bottom, if you use Web-OBA, when you submit your burn request, instead of calling it in, you can actually check that box yourself, so you know for sure that the box gets checked. And that'll help too. So speaking of Web-OBA, how many folks in here use Web-OBA? Oh, that's good. I think more people are using it. It's a lot more efficient now than it was when we first put it out. So a lot of benefits of using Web-OBA. I get calls a lot up until yesterday. Hey, I need education, or do I need it? They ask me, like, hey, that meeting's coming up next week. Do I need to go to that? And I'm like, well, did you look at the letter I sent you 11 months ago? But if you log into Web-OBA, you can see that yourself. It tells you right there at the top. It's got your education year good through and your burn good through. So you got that information. You can also update your own mailing information. So if you've moved, you got a new phone number, email address, you can do all that yourself. In addition to the great benefit of being able to submit a burn authorization without having to wait on hold on a good burning day. So you can put this in, you can even put it in the night before if you want. And if your email address is in there, when they get it approved, you'll get an email with your authorization number and you'll be good to go. I keep this one in for Donahoe, because he submits one of these every year, even though he doesn't have to do it every year. I know, I appreciate that. So as you know, to keep your certification, in addition to the education requirement, you have to do the burning requirement. 2 ways to keep that: you can conduct 2 authorizations or 2 burns yourself under your certification, and it's in our computer system, and you won't have to turn in a paper form. Tom, just do authorizations. Okay. But if you're like Tom and you don't do authorizations yourself, you just help out a lot, you can fill out this burn participation log, and you need 5 for that one. So if you do them yourself, you only need 2. If you participate, you need 5. You can fill this out and scan it and email it to me, not hand it to me in person while I'm at a meeting and know where to put the paper. Okay, so all right. So anyway, but no, so I get these a lot, and if you send these in to me, I try to respond that I got them. I don't always respond. I've got a bunch of them in the queue. I'll get those all up. I am working next week, so I'll be able to get this stuff entered in. Other things to remember, your prescription is a legal document. Like I said, I just got done teaching the class at Weyrauch with the new potential burners, and I was handing this into them. The prescription is what, you have this legal protection as a certified burner, but it's all based on your burn plan, on your prescription. So make sure it's right. Make sure everything's filled out correctly, legibly. The stuff makes sense. It's signed and dated correctly, printed out in person, on site. And again, let us know that you are doing a burn, and also keep it with you. You never know, something might have happened that you didn't know happened, and somebody might ask you questions a year or two or more later. So it's good to have that in your files. Also, it's good just to have your files for just historical record. All right. Anybody have any questions on anything I talked about or anything in general? Yes.
And whenever you get your weather, where is that pulling it from? Does that just connect to your local, whoever you're closest to as far as your weather service?
Yeah, so the question was on the prescribed burn planner, where does the forecast come from? Yeah, it comes from the National Weather Service. I believe their fire weather forecast for that area.
Any other questions from the audience? Sam?
I don't know. I mean, you can go in and cancel it, but I don't think they would get notified that you canceled it. If you cancel it on Web-OBA, you would probably need to call them and tell them that. Yeah, I didn't realize that was an issue, but we can work on that.
Any other questions?
We're getting a new system, so I can add that to there. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, right here.
So the question was, how did we pick the zip codes for the Y prescribed fire campaign? And now you make me think back. So it had to do with, we gave them some authorization information, and it was kind of like a WUI thing. So like around, like they didn't show up in Dixie County, right? It was in, certain population densities with so many burns in that area. So like around Leon County, Lake City, Jacksonville, Orlando, Gainesville. It was more the urban interface, suburban type areas. And we didn't do South Florida. We didn't do anything south of Orlando, Tampa area, just because there's not a whole lot of, it's mostly ag burning down there as opposed to the silvicultural type burning.
Hey, John, we have a question online. Where do we find the burn participation log?
The burn participation log can be found on the Florida Forest Service prescribed fire acreage page. It's on that page. There's also a list of, there's a lot of good information on there. There's a link to Web-OBA. There's a list of classes that count for your educational requirement. And of course, you can always just email me and ask for it.
Any other questions from the audience?
It's probably too late for that. But you can go and get it on your Facebook and post it out to people. And that, it's that's what it's there for. The campaign is, it's a public domain stuff. So you go to the website and there are little videos you can link and graphics you can post and things like that. Yes, sir.
Pride fires before the cert burn. Do those have to be after the class, or can they be just?
All right. So the question is, when you get certified, you're supposed to have 3 burns after you've taken the class before you get certified. And the question was, can those burns be before the class? And they cannot. So the idea behind it is, after you've taken the class, you're looking through different glasses, different goggles of what you're doing on a burn. So they need to be after the class.
Okay, anyone else? Have a question or comment? Oh, Ben.
We need to.
Oh, that's a great question. So the question was, do I need to email me anything for this class? No, you do not. So I will get a list of participants, both in person and online, from the council, hopefully early next week, so I can get that stuff entered in before the end of the year. Because I run a report on January 1st. For some reason, I don't wait till I get back, but I run the report because people, yours truly included, I've gotten burns on New Year's Eve before. I've done burns on New Year's Eve to keep my certification. So
So you're saying that you have a New Year's Eve party?
I did. Well, no, well, it was kind of scary because I had it lined up in Wakulla County, and I called the guy. He's like, "Oh yeah, we can't burn today because of the wind." I'm like, "Come on, man, help me out." So I called Tate's Hill. They just happened to be burning. Yeah, we're burning today. I'm like, good, because I really need it. So that worked out. So I run the report on January 1st, and you know, if something happens, like say you know, because it's all manually entered in, right? So I'm entering stuff in. I might miss somebody that came to the class. So if you attended this class and you still expire and you're like, well, dang it, Sadler, I was there. I mean, it's just error. Just give me a call. I'll look it up and we can always fix stuff. So.
Any other questions? Oh, Ben.
For the Web-OBA, different kinds of data restrictions differently on Web-OBA. The way that we can streamline this, sometimes don't date the date.
All right, so the question is on Web-OBA, that's another thing I didn't talk about. On Web-OBA, you can go in and see the restrictions for that day. So, but the question was not all the counties updated the same. So and it doesn't have the date on it. So the answer to that question about it doesn't have the date on it is the restrictions that you see when you look at Web-OBA are for that day. So there is no date. So that is kind of tricky. Like I said, you can put it in the night before. So if you're looking for tomorrow restrictions, you're not going to see that. You'll see today's restrictions on there. And we are, like I said, we're doing a new system, and I've had people ask, is it possible to have the restrictions online where anybody can see them, not just the certified burners that can go into Web-OBA. But the restrictions you see are for that county for that day.
Chris?
Looking at the screen, and it said, you know, the burn restriction was restricted for the day. And 10 minutes later, I looked and it wasn't restricted.
Yeah, so that could be part of the question too. It does vary. Some districts will put it in the night before, and some will put it in that morning, maybe after 8 o'clock when the supervisor comes in that's setting the restrictions. So yeah, so there is that. Yeah.
Ben first, and then Mike.
Just follow up your question. Okay, is that all for certified burners or with customer numbers?
Only certified burners, either broadcast or pile, can log into Web-OBA. That's something else we're looking at, maybe.
Mike, way in the back.
I got you. So the question was, you know, some districts update them at night, the night before. Some update them at maybe 6 in the morning. Some update them at 7 or 8 in the morning. So the question was, can they put a time and date stamp? For the current Web-OBA system, I'm going to say no, because we're phasing it out. So we're not going to, I don't even think we could probably get that updated, but I can make a note on that to when our new system gets put into place, that we can maybe put a date on that restrictions.
Any other questions? Oh, Ben, yeah.
Basically, if your certification expired, you need to retake the class, 3 more burns, get recertified, or?
All right, so the question is, if your certification expires, do you need to retake the class and do the 3 more burns? So if your certification expires, like is expired, you do have to retake the class. You would not have to do the 3 burns, because that 3 burns is for a non-experienced burner. So if you were already certified, then you wouldn't have to do that. But just because I send you a white letter in January that says you're expired doesn't necessarily mean it's expired, because like I said, there may be some data that I didn't get from you, some burn participations that I didn't get. And also we do have a mechanism in place. If your certification expires due to not meeting the education requirement, so you weren't able to make it to the meeting in December, or you didn't hear about it or whatever, but you're an active burner, then we do a thing where we can give you the final exam for the class. And if you pass the final exam, then we'll restate you. Hey, it's better than taking the whole class.
Any other questions? Ben? Thank you, John, very much.
All right, very good. Thank you.